Think about that for a second. Scott Speed.
Heavy open wheel.
Tony Kanaan.
Indycar.
Ernie Francis Jr.
Road racer.
Willie T. Ribbs.
Multi-purpose racer.
And Michael Waltrip.
Stock car.
There's your top 10. In the points, Smoke leading the way, 129 points. Castro Neves with 96. Francis Jr. holds 90. Tony Kanaan has 85. I like how in the points rundown they put the notes in there, the fact that when Haley Deegan ran for him last week, not at Eldora, but at Knoxville,
Yep.
it was actually Haley Deegan. But Tony Kanaan gets the credit for those points.
Right.
I find that interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Marco Andretti has 80 points. We're just going to run the top 5 on that one. Sunday morning, Formula One was in Austria for the Styrian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, we'll get back to him in a minute, is the leader in the understatement of the year when he called his racer super nice to drive. Sure?
Yeah.
Seeing as he got the win by more than 30 seconds, I'd say it probably was. Verstappen led from green to checkers, claims the win by the biggest margin of his career. Second place Lewis Hamilton just under 36 points behind, or seconds behind to be exact. Valtteri Bottas was third. He outdueled the other Red Bull Sergio Perez to claim that finish. Perez fourth, Lando Norris fifth, and then the rest of your top 10, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, and the rookie with a nice run, and he's doing very well this year, Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, he is.
It's impressing me.
Yep.
Verstappen ups his lead over Hamilton in the points. It's now 156 to 138. Perez is third, 96. 86 for Lando Norris. Valtteri Bottas, very inconsistent this year. He's sitting down with 74. Charles Leclerc's got 58. Carlos Sainz, 50. Pierre Gasly, 37. Daniel Ricciardo down there at 34. Sebastian Vettel in 10th with 30. In the Constructors' Cup, Red Bull pulling away, 252 to 212 points over Mercedes. Mercedes say they got an update coming. I'd say you need it.
Quickly.
McLaren's got 120. Ferrari's now up there with 108. AlphaTauri 5th with 46. 44 for Aston Martin. Alpine's got 31. 2 for Alfa Romeo. And the Twin Zeros. Haas F1 and Williams. They actually list Williams first because the average finish for the Williams drivers is better than the average finish for the Haas F1 drivers.
Whew.
And if that comes as a shock to you, I don't know where you've been.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Pocono, where Xfinity ran first on Sunday. Came down to a battle between Austin Cindric and Ty Gibbs. It's an interesting battle.
Mm-hmm.
Gibbs was giving it all he had as the laps wound down, but they ran out before he could make a pass, so Cindric wins. Gibbs has to settle for second. Justin Allgaier's third, Noah Gragson fourth, then A.J. Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, Brandon Jones, Jeb Burton, Josh Berry, and Myatt Snyder. Cindric leading the playoff standings with 4 wins to 2 for Allmendinger and Allgaier, and single-time winners Jeb Burton and Myatt Snyder. The rest of the 12, those that are in on points right now, begin with Daniel Hemrick. Continue on with and through Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, Justin Haley, Noah Gragson, Michael Annett, and Jeremy Clements. Clements holds a 50-point lead for the 12th and final playoff spot over Brandon Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than a race, which is fairly comfortable, but we still got a little ways to go, so there's a lot of movement that could still happen. I'm not certain that I'm going to see a lot of movement, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider Daytona is still looming.
Daytona's definitely still looming, as well as, you got the Atlanta summer race coming up in a couple weeks.
Road America this weekend.
Yeah, Road America.
There's a couple of, I guess you could call it wild cards. Be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Finals of the NHRA Summit National Racing Equipment, NHRA Nationals. It's easy for me to say. It's easy for them to come up with that title. Got underway just before the Xfinity Series race ended. In the Top Fuel Finals, here's a shock. Steve Torrence was in there. Took on Brittany Force. Torrence had the quicker reaction time, paying off in a hole shot win because Force went line to line just a touch quicker. Torrence pulls off a 3.736 ET, 313.88 miles per hour, gets the win. Bob Tasca III paired up against Cruz Pedregon in the Funny Car Finals. Pedregon takes advantage of Tasca sleeping at the Christmas tree, He posts a 3.95 ADT at 324.75 miles per hour. Over in Pro Stock Car, Greg Anderson takes on Erica Enders in the finals. Enders with an almost perfect .005 reaction time. Gets another hole shot win. She was actually slower than Anderson line to line, but that hole shot, which I want to say was about 0.03 of a second faster than what Anderson pulled, made all the difference. 6.606 ET, 205.44 miles per hour. It was Matt Smith and Steve Johnson making it to the finals of Pro Stock Motorcycle, claiming almost the exact same reaction time. Smith had more power at the other end, won by 5/100ths of a second, 6.782 ET at 200.56 miles per hour. And in the factory stock showdown, Chuck Watson II versus Bill Skillman. Skillman got off the line quicker, but Watson powered by just after the Christmas tree. He gets the win in that car that technically you could buy if you have enough money at your local Chevy, Dodge, or Ford dealer. 7.761 ET, 177.63 miles per hour. Not bad for something you can buy from the factory. Steve Torrance holds a 215-point lead over Antron Brown in top fuel points. Fifth is Sean Langdon. He sits almost 350 back. Regular season is all but over. Bob Tasca III is up 53 on John Force, 88 on J.R. Todd, 105 over Robert Height. Ron Capps sits 137 down. Greg Anderson holding a significant 142-point lead over Erica Enders. Mason McGahey is in fifth, trailing by 215. It's not as bad as Top Fuel, but it's pretty close to over there, too.
Not far at all.
Matt Smith up 93 over Steve Johnson in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Scotty Polachek trails by 151. Ryan Ayler 154 down. Angel Sampey 235 down. Yikes. And then Aaron Stanfield continues to lead in the factory stock showdown points, 267 to 226 over David Barton. Jesse Alexander is in there at 178. David Janik 175. Kevin Skinner 5th, 154 points. And the final race of last weekend brings us back to Pocono. And when a driver complains that the transmission's not going to stay in gear, and then shortly after complains that it won't come out of fourth gear, and fourth gear is all you got, you'd think victory lane's out of reach, wouldn't you?
You would think so, but then you hear shades of Days of Thunder. Transmission is shot. If you don't get me out in front of the pace car, this race is over for us.
Right. Here's the thing. We've been critical of Kyle Busch. I'll give credit where credit is due. He's a talented race car driver. But usually when things go wrong, Kyle Busch loses it. He actually kept his head together and calm.
He did.
And it showed.
Very much so.
Kyle Busch overcame those maladies. He parks the 18 in victory circle anyway. Kyle Larson had to settle for second. Brad Keselowski third, Kevin Harvick, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Ryan Preece, Tyler Reddick, and Joey Logano fell out the top 10. Larson's still the one seed. He's got 4 wins. Martin Truex Jr. has 3. He's tied with Alex Bowman. 2 wins for Kyle Busch, and then your single-time winners of William Byron, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Michael McDowell, the 5 in on points at this time, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, and Kurt Busch. And keep this in mind, Kurt Busch is a very slim 3 points up on Chris Buescher. There's a lot of movement that could still happen there. And considering the fact of where we are this weekend and the fact that the Cup Series in the modern era, Reed since 1972, has never been to this track, this could easily shake things up.
That and then some.
This weekend's racing begins later today. NASCAR Xfinity Series running the Henry 180 at Road America. This is a 14-turn, 4.048-mile-long road course. It is the longest course NASCAR runs on this year.
And by standards, the shortest race they'll run all year.
True. Agreed. Airs on NBC, that's right. They're putting it on the main network. And MRN Radio, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Tonight, SRX Series heads to Indianapolis. They're racing at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. CBS has the coverage, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm really liking what CBS is doing with this. They're doing a nice job with this.
They are knocking this out of the park.
Agreed.
In droves.
I agree.
It's going to be great.
Formula One runs the BWT Austrian Grand Prix tomorrow morning. 10 turns, 2.68 miles long, Red Bull Ring. ESPN's got the coverage 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Indycar will be up next. They're going to run the Honda Indy 200 Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. This one's the 2.258 mile long, 13 turn course. That race airs on NBC, yes, the main network, and the IndyCar radio network. It's noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. And I'll give some begrudging credit to NBC because I've been quite critical about their seeming inability to figure out how to televise motorsports properly. But they're not only going to run the Cup Series on Road America, for again, the first time in modern days, which, by the way, get this title, the Jockey Made in America 250 presented by Quick Trip. They're going to do a doubleheader. Right after they go from IndyCar at Mid-Ohio, on NBC, they'll go to the Cup Series at Road America. Nice. Not only will they have it there, but MRN Radio will have it as well. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Formula E, the NHRA Camping World Truck Series, they're all off this weekend. Now, we have set your table.
Yeah.
Because when we come back from this break,
it may get a little deep.
We're going to spend a while digging into this because we have been wondering on this show, really since about the beginning of this year, about how we were going to deal with the succession when it came to ownership within NASCAR. Because if you look at some of the big name owners, they're getting up there in years. Joe Gibbs, Rick Hendrick, Jack Roush. We could go on. They're getting up there in years. Who was going to be taking it over? We're starting to see it. We saw it, talked about it last week. Rick Hendrick has his succession plan in place. He's got Jeff Gordon waiting in the wings. Whenever the 71-year-old Rick Hendrick decides, you know what, I'm done with the day-to-day, Jeff Gordon steps in. Not sure we saw Chip Ganassi being the next domino in that particular lineup, but he was. We'll tell you exactly how, run down all the details when we come back. You're listening to CRN.
Right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Have you been thinking about buying a camper? Well, you need to come to Campers
I don't know that I've got it fixed.
I-59.
I got some kind of sound going on.
As long as you got sound.
You'll find there's no
I don't know how good it is.
There's
There's a lot of noise in the background.
Rockwood, Prime Time,
I don't know
Columbus,
what's
East
happening
West,
with it.
Cherokee,
I have
and
no
Wolfpack,
clue.
and more. And they have many years of experience in the
There's
Central
6
Alabama
people
area
watching this, so it's
in
gotta
the
be good.
RV business.
take
They
that.
have a beautiful big new showroom with 14 service bays. Payments as low as $132 a month on a new camper with 10% down. Over 130 travel trailers and fifth wheels to choose from. No pressure, no hassle, no rigmarole. And they've got a
Rigmarole.
campground, the Cove RV Resort, with a 20-acre spring-fed lake loaded with fish, swimming pool with a kiddies pool, clubhouse, Wi-Fi, and cable. Check it all out at Campers Unlimited, Highway 77 and I-59 in Gadsden.
At Lowe's, we think July 4th reunions are better with a little flair. Get select 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals, 3 for $12, and select bag mulch.
Yeah, me too.
Price starting at $288 per bag. Make your home look festive today. The summer savings continue this July 4th, so stop by Lowe's in store or online. Lowe's, home to any
Let's,
budget, home to any possibility.
Let's get our live commercial done after we come back.
Plant size selection and product availability
All right,
varies
you
by
want to come
location.
straight back to it, or you want to set?
Yeah, let's come straight back to it.
Welcome to Parent-Teacher Night. Oh, yes, Miss Garner.
With the
Totally
Capital
on
One
you, bro.
Venture Card,
Gotcha.
you earn unlimited double miles everywhere.
Really? My airline credit card only gets extra miles on some types of purchases.
And you can use Capital One Venture Miles on any travel purchase. Plus, earn 100,000 bonus miles when you spend $20,000 in your first year.
Venture gets an A+.
Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Limited time offer. Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
So there is a severe storm about to hit the East Coast. Luckily, it's not going to come and affect us here in the state of Alabama right now. But what if it did? Well, we got a pretty good chance of having hurricanes, tornadoes, thunderstorms, in other words, a whole lot of water being dumped in and around your house every single day, especially in the summertime in the state of Alabama. This can cause problems with your house. Talking about your foundation. There are clues that can kind of hint to you that there may, and I emphasize the word may, be a problem with your house and its foundation. Things like you see cracks in the brick, the basement walls of your sheetrock in and around the house. Maybe you having a hard time opening or shutting windows or doors. Maybe you got water or damp floors in your basement or your crawl space. Is this a surefire sign that you got a problem with your foundation? No, it's not. But before we get really into the heart and the meat of summer, where we get strong storms almost every afternoon, maybe get it checked out. Because these could be signs of a foundation failure at your house. And if you go, yeah, it's probably not, so I'm not going to worry about it, and you leave it untreated later on down the line when you realize there actually was a problem, and you could have taken care of it now, and it's 2025, now, unfortunately, you probably are going to be spending thousands, maybe tens of thousands more to get it fixed. Just check it out. Call our friend Michael Hart, Ox Foundation Solutions. He'll come out, he'll take a look at your house, and he'll write up what he finds. And if there's nothing wrong, he shakes your hand, he walks away, you're happy. If there is something wrong, you know exactly what it is and what it's going to take to fix it. But he'll come out for a no-cost, no-obligation written foundation assessment. If it does turn out that you need something fixed, mention the promo code WEST, you get 15% off that repair. So go ahead and make that appointment. Get it started. 205-362-6419. Again, that number, 205-362-6419. Or send them an email, mike@oxfoundations.com. And again, if at the end of all this turns out you need some repairs done to the house, don't forget that promo code WEST to get you 15% off any repair that you might need. Ox Foundations. We trust them. You can too. You ready for this, Matt?
Sure. Let's dive into it.
By far.
You sound so positive there.
Recognize I took a drink of drink.
By far the biggest news of this week comes out of the NASCAR world.
No doubt.
Chip Ganassi, out of the clear blue sky, decides to sell off the NASCAR portion of his racing organization. And sells it to Trackhouse Racing. Okay. Now, the sale is lock, stock, and barrel. We're talking about the entirety. All the cars, all the equipment, both charters, and the shop that belong to Chip Ganassi Racing for the 42 and the 1 cars through the end of this year, as of effectively Jan 1, 2022, all becomes property of Trackhouse Racing. They made the announcement of the sale on Wednesday. Trackhouse Racing noted this. They have one driver confirmed. That driver is Trackhouse Racing's current driver, Daniel Suarez. They will have a second driver. That leaves the third car and charter a little bit in question. We'll get back to that. Ganassi, when he was asked about it, told the Associated Press that Trackhouse Racing owner Justin Marks, quote, made me a great offer that required my attention.
You don't say, Chip.
Afterward, did you go to Waffle House? I mean, wow, talk about subtlety. He added this. I'm not out of racing. I'm just out of NASCAR. Still have an Indycar team, still have an IMSA sports car team, still have a Formula E team. I had an offer that was required to consider. As for Marks, he said he just kind of called up Ganassi on a whim just to see.
Yeah.
That's a bold cold call. Hey, Chip. Just curious. Want to sell?
I
I'm not sure I'm that kind of guy.
This makes me wonder. His overall group is the Trackhouse Entertainment Group.
Yes.
Now, need we remind you that this Trackhouse Entertainment Group has a pretty sizable stake in a little race called the Music City Grand Prix?
Yes, they do.
Okay. We know that Justin Marks is primary set investor. Nipping at his heels is the gentleman he refers to as Armando, better known as Pitbull.
Uh-huh.
We know he's got money.
He does.
So, this other group, the other people that are with him, I just simply put the question without me saying something crazy on a family show. I wonder just how much they throw their weight around.
I'm thinking they threw their weight around pretty good, because here's what Mark said. He said he called Ganassi on a whim just to see, quote, I think there's a lesson here. Sometimes you just have to make the call. That's what I did. I said I'm in the process right now. We're at a point in time where I'm trying to identify opportunities and to create a great future for Trackhouse Racing. I'd say you're pretty solid, dude.
If you're getting, and let's be open with this Chip Ganassi shop in Concord is not small.
No. We went and looked at it after the first time we went to Darlington.
Mm-hmm.
It's, well, we didn't have the chance, because it was Labor Day weekend, we didn't have the chance to go inside any of the shops. But you go and you look at these shops from the outside, you can tell how immense they are. I mean, some of them are campuses, multi-building campuses. If you go in and you see Hendrick Motorsports, for example, you understand what I'm talking about. Chip Ganassi, on the other hand, he had everything in one building, but it is a nicely sizable building.
Oh, it's huge.
And this is what Trackhouse Racing is going to, for all intents and purposes, inherit. This is what they bought. And again, they're not going to take over the Chip Ganassi Racing operations until after the 2021 season is over. But again, he gets it all. He gets the shop just outside of Charlotte. He gets both charters. He gets all the assets inside the building, all the cars, all the equipment to build more cars. And again, Markson says that he intends to field 2 full-time cars in 2022. So here's the situation. And we are now beginning to realize the enormity, if we will, of charters. He could sell, he could lease the 3rd charter, depending on his future plans for the company. Terms between Marks and Ganassi have not been revealed. We don't know how big of a money situation this is.
He's only got 2 charters, because this charter that he had for the 99 car, Spire sold it off to Collick, leaving the 99 car without a charter last week.
Ah,
So
okay. That explains it a little better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So he was leasing the charter that's on the 99.
The 99 charter was being leased to him from Spire.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
gotcha.
leasing it.
I got you.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So now he gets 2 charters,
2 outright ones from Ganassi.
2 outright ones, and he didn't have to worry about it.
Yep. See, he's really not going to have to worry about too much, because they're going to be all brand new cars, and only his 2 teams are going to be limited. I think the limit of the cars is 7 next year total.
Something like that. And considering the
So-
fact that Chip Ganassi has the shop that he has, and he's been working along with Richard Childress Racing and Hendrick Motorsports and the other Chevy teams, Chip Ganassi's got the infrastructure already set for the Gen 7 car. Something that we can't be certain of when it comes to Trackhouse. And I understand Trackhouse had a relationship with Richard Childress Racing. But still, now they get everything for all intents and purposes. Probably not their own engine department, but they can build their own cars in a very nice facility. And at this point in time, the only thing that they need to figure out is whether or not they're going to keep Ross Chastain or Kurt Busch, or see if they can't find somebody else. And I'll be real honest with you, I'm leaning towards the fact that they're going to keep Ross Chastain, with all due respect to Kurt.
I am too, because it's pretty much the way most chatter going through social media. Kurt is all but gone to the second 2311 car.
Yeah.
So that's leaving Chastain, because he said, because Mark said really quick, Chastain would be considered a top contender for the second car. And from initial appearance, he's going to continue the run of the number 1.
I could see that.
42 will kind of go into the mothballs, the number.
And keep the 99.
Keep the 99, put the 42 up. He's still got access to the 42 and the rights to the number 42.
Sure. Yeah, which he would take that over.
But to all intents and purposes, he's going to keep the number 1 from what it appears. Okay. I don't think he'll have anything to worry about with the engine deal, because Chevrolet's basically went to one engine package just like Ford and Toyota has.
True. And all he's got to worry about is whether he's going to buy him from Hendrick or Childress, and I imagine he'll probably stick with Childress. It's a guess.
It's a quarter flip, really.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but it's a guess that there's an infrastructure there that has already been built. It seems to make sense. Would it shock me if he went to Hendrick? No. But it would seem to make sense that he would just continue the relationship that they've built.
I could actually see Hendrick more, because literally you could walk out of the front door of the office, stand beside the building, and throw a rock to the Hendrick campus from where the Ganassi campus is.
That's true.
Me personally, I would say Hendrick.
Personally, neither one shocks me. I'll be real honest with you. Neither one shocks me.
Because it's clearly evident now more than ever, Chevrolet teams are working tighter than they ever have.
Absolutely.
They're
and
not.
We talked about this, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
When they were getting their lunch handed to them. And we said they need to take a little bit of a note. They need to be watching. Let's take a couple of pages out of the Toyota and Ford book. Boom.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
They've won what? They won
Hendrick won 6 in a row.
7 of the last 8.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'd say they took the pages quite liberally.
Yeah. No joke.
But, so yeah, I mean, neither one surprises me, because they're going to work together, because they want to continue this streak that they're on. And Trackhouse now becomes a player.
Oh, Trackhouse just went from here to here.
Exactly.
Quick.
Now, let me get back to where we were before. Jeff Gordon, as we noted before the break, already set up to be next in line for Rick Hendrick. Whenever the 71-year-old Rick Hendrick decides to step aside, Jeff Gordon takes it over. Jeff Gordon's, he's not even 50 yet. So it's set for a couple of decades. Now we know that Chip Ganassi Racing is in the hands of Justin Marks. Justin Marks,
I think he's just a little bit over my age, and I'm 36.
See, I was about to say, is he 40
He's not
yet?
old. He's not old. No.
So Chip Ganassi Racing is set in the fact that now that's Trackhouse Racing. Joe Gibbs, we can probably figure that's going to stay within the family. Some way, somehow. Do we know exactly who? No. Do we know exactly when? No. But sooner or later. Roush Fenway, the rumors are flying. But at this point in time, they're all still unconfirmed. So what do we do? Could be Brad Keselowski, who had his own truck team.
Marks is 40.
40.
Yep.
Still 40.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski is a little younger than that, I think. And if he does indeed come in and takes over for the Cat in the Hat, which, I mean, let's be real blunt here. Jack Roush is not exactly the most hands-on owner at this time anyway.
Brad Keselowski's 37.
There you go. So we're starting to see that lineage. We're starting to see the succession plans start to take shape. We haven't heard about Team Penske yet, though.
Here's something that I'm seeing and watching. Some people from Hendrick, Some people from Penske that are pretty decently sized figures are flying the coupe.
Uh-huh.
So what's taking place over at the Mooresville Castle?
That's a good question. So we don't know a succession plan necessarily for Penske. You could say Stewart-Haas Racing, but Tony Stewart's not 50 yet. And if Gene Haas decides to step aside, Tony Stewart's got it.
Easy.
Not worried about that.
Easy.
These are your big names.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of the year, we really didn't have a clue
No.
where most of these big names were going to go.
As opposed to now.
The picture is becoming clear.
Realistically, do we actually know?
The picture is becoming clearer.
We have what? A good guess?
We know Hendrick. We know Ganassi / Trackhouse. We have more people talking about Keselowski to Roush Fenway than just the one guy who we really don't trust. I mean, we've got guys that we really, really trusted. When they say it's either happened or going to happen, we can pretty much put it in the bank.
99% happening.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
99% that Keselowski's going to Roush Fenway, becoming Roush Fenway Keselowski. Suddenly we get RFK racing.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that.
Yes, it is.
Penske's the one that I'm wondering about. But when you stop and think about what we said just a few months ago, in the fact that we had no idea where these guys were going, again, it's almost like people in North Carolina are listening to us. Because they said, you know what, they've got a point.
They very well may be, actually.
They've got a point. We don't have a succession plan in place. We better start figuring it out. And all these teams suddenly started going, okay, I'll put Jeff Gordon in there. Oh, Justin Marks wants my team? Sure. It's kind of similar to a few years ago. We had a caller call in back when we could take phone calls. One of these days, maybe we will be able to again. We'd love to be able to talk with you, the listeners and the viewers.
Well, we hope so, anyway.
But anyway, we had a guy call in and ask us where the new blood was coming in when it came to NASCAR. Because,
Yeah.
we hadn't really seen an influx of rookies, and then all of a sudden over the next 3 years, we saw such an influx and influence of younger drivers coming in. And the Jeff Gordons, the Tony Stewarts, the Dale Earnhardts, the Matt Kenseths, and all these other drivers gone in favor of
Or migrating,
Chase
at least.
Elliott and Austin Dillon and Kyle Larson and
Christopher
so on.
Bell.
Christopher Bell, Eric Jones, blah, blah, blah. Now it's happening in the ownership. And I'll be real honest with you. I'm seeing a lot of owners. Cowlick Racing's in there as they're coming up through the ranks and everything. Trackhouse Racing, I like what I'm seeing out of them. Live Fast, I'm kind of waiting to see. Because it seems like that they're kind of happy playing over here in the shallow end of the pool.
Yeah, they're in the kiddie pool right now.
But we're seeing a commitment from Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. They're ready to expand to 2 cars.
If not more.
Yeah, if not more.
Yeah.
And you've got Dale Earnhardt Jr., we'll get back to it, and Kyle Busch, we mentioned this last week, having talked about the idea of taking their organizations, Xfinity and Truck Series respectively, Junior and Kyle Busch, and whether or not they would consider moving to Cup. Is it a changing of the guard? Yes. Is it something that the diehards and the long-time watchers want to see?
Nope.
Probably not.
Nope.
But you know what? There's only one thing in life that's a constant.
Change.
And that's change.
Yep.
And it's got to happen.
But the more things change, the more they stay the same.
In a lot of ways.
Yes, sir.
Because here's the thing. You still got 35 to 40 guys, ladies possibly, out there banging fenders every single week, Have the cars changed? Yes. Have the drivers' names changed? Yes. Have the team owners' names changed? Yes. But you know what? The idea behind NASCAR is still the same. And the question is whether or not you can stomach the fact that things will change here and there. But the basics of it, still right where we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's still why we love racing. It's still why I got into it. It's why Matt got into it. It's why John's into it. It's why Talladega's sold out practically every single race.
You know, the main reason I love racing, it's a family sport.
Exactly.
You can't say the same about any other sport. If something goes wrong with one, something's wrong with everyone.
Yep.
And everyone pulls together and helps that person out.
Exactly.
It's all about family.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
This family needs to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. We're going to talk about Team Penske here. He was talking about people flying the coop. We've got one of those. Stick around. We'll tell you about it when we come back on CRN.
Back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
I like this road
Weather's
record.
at its worst.
Well, cars, they gotta work with the cars outside. They don't have a garage.
Nice.
Old school.
First,
I love it.
Roll it off the lift gate and put it on jack stand, boys.
first, because of its location.
This is in the path of oncoming storms.
First, to warn you when danger approaches.
A train right now.
Giving you more time to get to safety. WVTM 13 Live Doppler. On today's WVTM 13 News.
This report is service of the Area Agency on Aging. Many older Alabamians have to choose between buying food, medicine, or other necessities. If you or someone you know struggles to pay for groceries, help may be available. Call the Area Agency on Aging at 1-800-AGE-LINE to find out more.
If you're having problems buying your groceries and you need help, call the
I thought we'd
Alabama
already
Area
done a 40 break
Agency
down
on
in
Aging
Colorado, but I am.
at 1-800-243-5463.
I remember that we had today.
They'll explain
I saw
all
44, I
about
was like,
SNAP
"No."
to you.
Well,
It's a
I was looking at the clock,
program for senior
it said
citizens.
43, and I'm like,
Guests are back in with 4th of July savings and low.
okay, we got a long way to go to the top of the hour.
Primer starting at $32.98 per gallon.
Lee said,
With
you go to break, and I'm like, did we not take the 40 break?
Yeah, when he said break, I looked down and said, ooh.
Dang!
So stop at Lowe's or buy online and pick up in store.
Yeah, John's on top of his game today.
Not.
Paint pricing out for 7721. In store must ask cashier to apply coupon. Savings vary based
I'll blame it on the sound card.
Additional discounts. Exclusions apply.
It's called being aware of your surroundings, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the hardest decision of your life. It is.
I blame it totally on the soundboard.
Happens.
Nothing.
It threw me off.
With Taco Bell's new $5 Cravings Trio, you get to pick two of your favorites: a burrito supreme,
But I got it fixed.
quesadilla, or crunch wrap supreme, plus a large drink or
Alright.
medium freeze.
Alright.
Okay, that really isn't that tough.
It's the $5.
We might go in 10 seconds, we might not.
Participating U.S. locations for a limited time only. Contact store for prices and participation with varying tax extra.
Two tires over.
Here we are.
How about 7?
Bring it back, man.
For more action on the championship.
Bringing it back, continuing this conversation that seems like we're elbow deep in about with this Ganassi track house changing of the guard for what it seems like to be every single team here nowadays.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just one, but hey, let's all just decide to change.
Yeah, no joke.
Don't leave me out. It's like keeping up with the Joneses. But you mentioned something during that last segment which should not be overlooked.
Yeah.
We haven't heard a thing from Team Penske. The captain, Roger Penske's got to be in his 80s, doesn't he?
He's in his 80s and he seems ageless.
He does, but let's face it. Time is undefeated. We haven't heard anything about Team Penske, but you said that it seems like every time you turn around, people are leaving.
Yep.
One of those guys is Tim Cindric, and I kind of want to say that Tim Cindric seems to be the heir apparent, but I don't know.
You could say it either be Walt Zarnicki, could be him.
Could be.
Bud Denker, could be him. Tim Cindric, could he be him? It could be Greg Penske. Who knows?
Not sure at this point in time.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that Ryan Blaney at the end of this year loses his crew chief.
Oof.
Todd Gordon announced on Sirius XM satellite radio Monday morning he was stepping away from his crew chief role at season's end. This is the guy that helped Joey Logano to the 2018 Cup title. He and Ryan Blaney are locked into the playoffs for this season with a win already. But Gordon has said, how many times have we heard this? He wants to spend more time with his family?
Quite a bit.
So now we have the situation where we have to figure out who's the crew chief next year. And let's remember a couple of things here. They're affiliated with Wood Brothers. Matt DiBenedetto is out at the end of the year. We know this because going into the number 21 will be Austin Cindric. That was previously announced. Could that change? Sure. Why? Again, we are pretty much 99% certain that the driver of the 2 car, Brad Keselowski, comes out of the 2 car and goes over to Roush Fenway.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 car becomes available. The 21 car changes hands. And Matt DiBenedetto is sitting out there going, where am I going? We can presume some things. Team Penske seems happy with Matt DiBenedetto. Could he take over the 2 car?
I'm going to say yes. But I'm going to wait till the domino officially falls, even though it's about that far from hitting the top of the table. Wait till it officially falls to say, because there could be, even though the contract is supposedly signed for 2022,
right,
that could easily be changed.
Oh,
now
sure.
that the 2 cars wide open, knowing that Cindric connection. All right. Could it happen? Yes. Will it happen? I doubt it. I think they just bump DiBenedetto up to the 2 and leave Cindric in the 21, and it becomes a de facto bigger 4th Penske car than it really is now.
Probably. Probably so.
I could see that happening.
I mean, let's presume that they promised DiBenedetto a move to Team Penske in some way, shape, or form for 2022. At the beginning of this year, long before the rumors of Keselowski to Roush Fenway ever even were dreamt up, I think we would have thought Penske's ready to expand to a 4th car.
Right.
And then you get this 4-car lineup of Keselowski, Logano, Ryan Blaney, Matt DiBenedetto, and then your de facto 5th car, which is technically owned by Roush Fenway, or I'm sorry, Wood Brothers, in the 21, and that's where Austin Cindric goes. I'm not going to say that Brad Keselowski leaving to go to Roush Fenway, again, presuming it does indeed happen, but all signs are pointing to yes, would create a situation of, musical chairs.
Mm-hmm.
But there does seem to be at least a hint of disorganization right now in the Team Penske Cup Series side of things. So you're losing a crew chief, you're potentially losing, arguably, your lead driver. I use the term arguably because Brad Keselowski won his title in 2012. Logano's the more recent title winner.
Mm-hmm.
Could we play musical chairs?
Absolutely.
And how would it look if we did? I don't think Joey Logano's leaving the 22. Let's leave that one alone. I'm pretty certain that you can stick a pin.
He's got a solid enough relationship with Shell Pennzoil and Auto Trader, the main 2 sponsors that are on that car that you see. Excuse me. Auto Trader, AAA, and then Shell Pennzoil.
Right.
He's solid enough there. I could agree with that one.
Yeah, I don't see him moving out of the 20. I mean, even if it would be just to move to a different number car within the same company, I don't see it happen.
I could really see Ryan Blaney going to the 2.
I was thinking the same thing. Ryan Blaney goes to the 2, Matt DiBenedetto comes in, goes to the 12?
Simply because of the Menards tie-in.
I could easily see that.
And Menards is primarily on the 12 and the 21.
Yeah.
So Menards stays on Menards, and their subsidiary brands that they promote stay on the 12. I could see DiBenedetto going to the 12. Blaney going to the 2. Cindric staying in the 21. I could see that.
Oh, the things that we think about here on this show. Have we confused you yet?
And if someone in North Carolina is listening over in Mooresville, close to where the Team Penske campus is, if this scenario works, you can write the check to us later.
That's right. We're happy to help.
Yep.
We really are.
Anytime.
All right. We mentioned when it comes to Xfinity Series stuff, teams buying in, moving in, expanding into the Cup Series ownership. What about one of the most famous ones in the Xfinity Series, and that's Junior Motorsports? Well, why don't you go to Dale Earnhardt Jr.? It's not like he's unavailable. He said that he himself has actually explored the idea of becoming a Cup Series operation. But his problem is he's been unable to get a hold of a charter. And at this point in time, that's pretty much what you're going to want. You're going to want a charter because it guarantees that your car starts in all 36 Cup Series regular season races. He appeared on SiriusXM Satellite Radio Wednesday of this week, said, quote, "The charter's the only roadblock. I mean, the way that they're talking about this new car, it's going to be more expensive to be in Xfinity than it would be to be in Cup Series." But he expanded on it during his latest Dale Jr. Download podcast. He said, quote, "Hearing Cowlick spent $10 million..." Let me repeat that number. "Hearing Cowlick spent $10 million each on their 2 charters. Don't know if that's true. That's out of my range, I'll tell you that. Junior Motorsports won't be racing in the NASCAR Cup Series if that's what a charter is going for. Just being honest."
He's not the only one that said that 10 million number about what Matt Cowlick spent on those each charter.
And here's the thing. We heard, it wasn't Spire, it was 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly what the sale was. But we heard, and nobody has divulged this, but, you know, rumors get floating around, and, you know, somebody hears a number and they go, "Hey, heard about this, you know, so-and-so, ABC sold to XYZ and has sold the charter for $7 million. And boom, all of a sudden it gets out there. And if that was 2 or 3 years ago, and we now have this much interest in teams coming in and getting charters, and more teams saying, "Hey, listen, we want to get charters," $10 million ain't out of the realm of possibility. In fact, it's squarely in the target.
I'm going to say it about this one specific team. I really can't throw in Live Fast because they're in year 1 and they're building.
Yes.
They're wanting to do it right. I get it. You can't start. You're not going to start mid-pack your first year.
No.
You're going to have to start at the bottom. Oh, but let me say this one first. Do not, under any circumstances, and this is to anybody, and I know we're not, do not sleep on what Matt Cowlick is building.
No.
That man is sneaky dangerous. And he's got the team and the personnel built in the right spots.
And the resources to back it up.
Bingo. Secondly, if I'm Rick Ware and somebody throws $10 to $12 million to buy one of those charters out from under him,
he's controlling
he's got 4.
Yeah, he controls 4.
He's got 4 cars on 4 charters that are 5 laps down by lap 3 of a race.
If I'm Rick, and by the way, just connected with him on LinkedIn, for whatever that's worth. No disrespect to you, Rick. But if you're listening, Rick, this is just me. If I'm you, I'm selling off 2 of those charters. And I'm taking that $20 million and I'm reinvesting it in my company. And I'm starting to make some phone calls about an alliance. And I'm not talking about some mediocre alliance. I'm talking about I want Hendrick or I want Childers. Because it's time to fish or cut bait. You've been kind of dipping the pole in the water and, saying, yeah, I like racing. We've seen what you can do when you work with a good company, Dale Coyne, in IndyCar.
Bingo.
That's good equipment, good driver, good results.
Mm-hmm.
Pare it down a little bit, concentrate on 2 cars, 2 charters, guaranteed to start all 36 regular season races.
Make them faster.
You got $20 million.
Make them faster.
And you work with a Hendrick Motorsports, and who knows what you might be able to do.
Or, if you're going to put your Ford Mustangs on the track because it wants to give me a brain aneurysm when I see 2 Chevrolets and 2 Fords with the same team.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, and let me throw this one in there too. Xfinity, I have seen them throw a Toyota Supra on the track.
Yeah. Pick one.
Stick with it. Go.
Pick one, create the affiliation, and go get it. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Again, these are expensive things. GMS Racing is about to find this out as well, because GMS Racing announced, just last week? They want to go Cup racing as well. Congratulations, come on in. The water's boiling because of all the movement that's going on. It's nice and toasty warm. But, fair warning, if you want a charter, have the checkbook with a lot of ink in the pen. Because you're going to use it. And you're going to need to use it. Be ready for it.
Yep.
NASCAR and iRacing, they had a couple of announcements this week. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll talk a little Formula One action. A couple of big stories out of Formula One this week. Plus qualifying?
Qualifying is getting ready to go here very shortly.
So we'll keep you updated on that. A little bit of IndyCar stuff as well. Stick around. Still got 1 more hour to go on CRN.
Wow, I don't know where that cool air come from, but it feels really good.
WTDR-FM, Talladega, Oxford, Anniston, and streaming live 24/7 at WTDRThunder.com. Alabama's #1 country, Thunder 92.7.
Bongo stands for buy one, get one free. And we're talking about the best fireworks anywhere.
Train wreck avoided.
Yay!
Cheers.
List of locations.
For once in a millennium.
Go Shells, now at 3 locations. At the
I don't know if I want to drink one of these in the morning going to the airport or what. Because I actually want to sleep on airplanes.
I'm going to get you back in and I'm going to roll.
Do's what you got to do's, man.
Oh, I will. Trust me.
Zimbabwe. Bless you.
That was fun. That was so funny when that NIL stuff went into, for college athletes, went into effect on the first.
Everybody freaking out over it.
Oh. Barstool Sports got into it.
Did they really?
The first athlete they signed to endorse, a volleyball player from Jack State.
Good for her. Him. Her? Her. Good for her.
I think we're coming back.
Who knows?
20 seconds, I think.
Whoever's running the Formula One Twitter handle, they didn't put things are heating up, things are hotting up.
Hotting up. Nice. That's definitely English as a second language right there.
Definitely hotting up there, Mike.
Dueling announcements from NASCAR and iRacing. Welcome back in. Hour number 2 just underway. I'm Steve West. That's Matt Nicholson, John Myers. Here on this Saturday morning, getting you ready for the racing weekend, and kind of a busy weekend. And I love the fact, again, if you missed hour 1, again, we're on at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, tomorrow morning, basically we're going to go to from Formula One on ESPN almost directly to Indycar on NBC. That's at 11 a.m. Central Time. And pretty much as soon as that's over, they begin coverage of the Cup Series running at Road America. And technically, I think that's supposed to be, what, 2:30 p.m. Central Time?
2:30 Eastern.
Eastern, 1:30 Central.
Yep.
So, love what we're looking at tomorrow. And the thing about this is and you've done a little bit of iRacing. I've seen it. I'm fascinated by it. I'd like to try it. I don't have the money to do it. NASCAR and iRacing long partnered, going back to 2010. But prior to the 2019 COVID-19 pandemic, it was mostly a way for some fans to get a slight feel for what racing in the Cup Series might feel like, and every once in a while you might race against the occasional Cup Series driver, Timmy Hill. Since the pandemic, the two sides began working much closer together. They also helped kind of develop the next-gen racer, and they talked about the possibility / reality of turning Auto Club Speedway into a short track. iRacing got to working on it first. NASCAR felt like it might actually be a reality, and boom, the construction began. Supposedly, if California gets their heads out of the sand, we'll be able to see it in real life and in action next year. This one I'm a little more dubious about. They worked up a street course race in Chicago, something NASCAR continues to debate. Street course, don't do it in Chicago.
Thank you.
Either way, they've worked out a new deal, and with this new deal, iRacing officially becomes the simulation partner of NASCAR. That's the good news. Then there's the bad news. NASCAR has announced the cancellation of the remainder of the 2021 eNASCAR iRacing Pro Series Invitational events.
I'm actually not disappointed.
I got to admit, I'm not really either. Initially planned out as a series of 10 races, they were going to put 5 on Fox and 5 on NBC. Well, Fox aired their 5 races, which, correct me if I'm wrong, wrapped up with... Was it
the Chicago Street Race?
Was it the Chicago Street Race, or did they do one at Road America?
No.
Couldn't remember.
Chicago.
The second 5 were unconfirmed, so NASCAR decided that officially they were ending the series, although according to Adam Stern of Sports Business Daily, they could still pair up for some special event telecasts as the year and years go on. But apparently, television ratings being the name of the game, the ratings were waning because real-life racing was now in effect, and people were able to go to the track, so they weren't watching the iRacing as much, so it goes bye-bye. Are my feelings hurt? No. Am I shocked? Not really.
Same.
I mean, to a certain extent it was fascinating because you got some guys, again, Timmy Hill, that were more than competitive in iRacing and unfortunately less than competitive in real life. So you had the chance to see them have some success in the iRacing side of things, but
it was good to see guys like that in the limelight.
It was.
For at least an hour or two.
Yeah.
You know, like James Davison winning the COTA and Chicago Street Race.
Walked away with it.
Yeah. And won with an Indycar setup, not a NASCAR setup, an Indycar setup.
I know. Good night.
Yeah.
Entertainment. Speaking of IndyCar, let's talk a little IndyCar, shall we? Rinus VeeKay has been given an all clear. He will drive this weekend when IndyCar heads to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. 20-year-old driver broke his collarbone in a cycling accident back on June 14th. He underwent surgery the very next day to repair it. He noted that the IndyCar medical staff, led by Dr. Weber, who actually did the surgery as well, said that they were key in getting him ready to race this weekend. It's Mid-Ohio, so it's not like it's a street course where he's going to get beaten and bumped all around like, say, a Sebring. But that being said, Mid-Ohio... I've seen Mid-Ohio. It may not be the smoothest track in the world. How much does a broken collarbone that's still kind of in repair affect him on a road course like a Mid-Ohio sports car course?
I will be remiss to say I would be let me just say it simple. I will be surprised if they don't have a backup driver in place just in case.
I was wondering about that.
Just in case. It doesn't appear to be super technical like a street course or like you said, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. It's still putting a lot of pressure
Because he's going to be sore.
on something that, is that fresh.
For sure.
I mean, it's half a month. Doctors have also cleared Felix Rosenquist to race this weekend. He missed out the prior 2 events because he crashed real heavily in the first Chevrolet Duel in Detroit race. Oliver Askew filled in for him for 1 race, and then ex-Formula 1 driver Kevin Magnussen drove the 2nd race in that Aero McLaren Racing SP ride. It's kind of funny to see Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean in the same event again. But yeah, Felix is going to be back, so glad to hear about that. Then there's Andretti Autosport. You want to talk about a team in flux. This is a team that is trying to figure out where they've gone wrong. Let me keep this in mind. All the drivers are healthy, at least to the best of our knowledge. But they're not really doing all that well in the standings. The best one right now, sitting 7th in the standings, is Colton Herta. As it is known right now, only Herta and Alexander Rossi sits 13th in the standings, have contracts beyond this season. The other 2 drivers are Ryan Hunter-Reay and James Hinchcliffe. They are underperforming, and likely now wondering what they're going to be doing in 2022 and beyond. Because Andretti got to talking recently to Racer.com and said, quote, "I think there's going to be some change on the driver front. Our goal is to stay at 4 cars. Obviously, we have 2 locked in right now, Reed, Herta, and Rossi. Then there's 2 that are in question at the moment that we're working on." He concluded, quote, "Nothing's finalized in any of it, but there's gonna be some change, I'm sure." Now, let's be real blunt. What we have seen out of Andretti Autosport this year, it's not just the driver's fault.
No.
These are names that even I recognize, and I don't
Yes.
follow IndyCar.
You're right. Exactly.
And I recognize these drivers, so that's saying something.
I mean, Ryan Hunter-Reay is getting up to the level of age that, like Scott Dixon is.
Yes, but he is not doing it as well as Scott Dixon has.
That is true.
Hinchcliffe, he's been in and out.
I'll say this, and this is absolutely no disrespect to the driving ability of James Hinchcliffe. But ever since he had that injury at Indianapolis, he has not been the same.
I would agree with that.
Very inconsistent.
He's not been the same.
Colton Herta is still young, still a little wet behind the ears, so the fact that he's seen success but is inconsistent doesn't surprise me a whole lot. In fact, 7th in the standings is pretty good for me for where Colton Herta is in his career. Alexander Rossi in 13th is a disappointment.
That will raise your eyebrow.
Yes. Alexander Rossi, since his rookie year, when he won the Indy 500, granted they played a gamble on gas and they won, but ever since then he has been, for the most part, up until this year, at the very least, he has been a threat to win any single race that you put him in.
Agreed.
But
Fully agree.
Something happened this year, and I'm not going to sit here and look at you through our YouTube channel or tell you through your radio speakers or whatever it is that however it is that you're listening to us, that I think that suddenly something's turned off in the talent level of Alexander Rossi. I don't think it has. There's something going on in the background right there that is keeping everything at Andretti Autosport under a very tight lid. And what I mean by that is the fact that they've hit a ceiling in their performance, and they can't figure out how to break through it.
That is a fair statement to say, because it's a very uncharacteristic Andretti year.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting their lunch handed to them. And I'm not talking about by the likes of Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon's 3rd in your championship points. I mean, we're talking guys like Rinus VeeKay, who's even been out for the past couple of weeks.
Pato
Award. These guys are eating Andretti Autosports lunch and taking their lunch money for tomorrow. And then the next day.
And then the next month.
Yeah. Something's got to change. Michael Andretti finally realizes it. Is it all the driver's fault? No. Is it partially the driver's fault? Sure. But changing out the drivers is not the end-all be-all of what Andretti Autosport needs.
You fix your cars and your equipment first. Then you fix your driver. If you know you've got your equipment and your cars where it needs to be at the same level as everyone else, and you're still not getting it done, then that's when you change the seat.
I agree. And then there's this guy. John knows where I'm going. Jimmy Johnson. Woo! Certainly not having the type of success in his first year in Indycar as he experienced as a 7-time Cup Series champion. He continues to say, though, he wants to learn, and as such, Johnson recently got to talking with NBCSports.com, said he is seriously considering his first oval race in the Open Wheel Series. And he's got his eyes set on the 2022 Indy 500. As such, he wants to test at either Texas or Homestead, Miami in the next couple of months so that he can then run in an upcoming tire test at Indy. If he can run that upcoming tire test at Indy, it would complete his rookie orientation program, and that is something that IndyCar requires you to do in order to run the Indy 500. So now he has to figure out how to get a test at either Texas or Homestead, Miami.
He can easily do that.
He should be able to. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to be able to pull a couple of strings and go, hey, it's Jimmy Johnson, I want to test at Texas or Homestead, Miami.
I would be interested to see that Indy 500 when he runs it. And see how well he does or not.
Again, we've said this before. If you look at where IndyCar races on ovals, other than Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, they race at Indy, race in Texas. What am I missing oval-wise? Anything? I don't think I'm missing anything. Because I think they only had the 3 this year. Or am I missing one?
Yes, because they're not going to Iowa
Not going to Iowa, not going to Richmond.
For some stupid reason.
Yeah. Okay, so they only had the 3. So 2 of the 3 oval tracks, not only is Jimmy Johnson familiar with them because of his time in the Cup Series, he's won at both of them. Why he chose only to go street and road course races baffled me from the beginning because of that very thing.
Maybe to challenge himself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm looking at it, he's failing the challenge if that's the case.
So far, badly.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm actually surprised that actually a combination of him and Romain Grosjean's not in an oval race. I'm surprised they did not try to attempt Indy.
Because of Romain Grosjean's background in Formula One, because they've heard horror stories about oval tracks, which I think are overblown, I'm not as surprised with Romain Grosjean. I'm disappointed. But I'm not as surprised with Romain Grosjean. It shocked me when Jimmy Johnson said he wasn't going to do the oval tracks.
That was a big shock to me, too. I mean, because you think, okay, he's got how many years in NASCAR at those tracks? How many wins at those tracks?
Exactly.
Okay, so you're used to the track. You know its ins and outs. The only thing different is the car.
Mm-hmm.
And the
chances
speed.
are you're going to take the race. Come on now. Why not run it?
I will go at 8:18 a.m. on July 3rd, 2021. I will go on record on this show and saying this. If he had have attempted the 500 this year, he would have been in the last row shootout.
Agreed.
He would have been in the last row shootout in danger of missing the race.
Agreed. Because he is not up to speed in a car that, quite frankly, should, and Tony Kanaan has proven, is more than competitive.
And I mean,
And that may be the reason he didn't.
Maybe.
Because the expectation of him at those tracks is such that he's not up to the task of even placing in the top 10. So that may factor into his decision not to.
I could see him using these road courses and street courses to learn the car and feel the car out.
Exactly.
Because, granted, he's been 204, 205 in a drafting pack at Talladega real easy.
Yeah.
But it's a lot different running 230 going into turn 1 in Indy wide open.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but at the same point in time, if you really want to get comfortable, why wouldn't you go to a track that you know? Even if you don't know the car, why wouldn't you go to the track that you know?
Bingo.
And I fully agree with you in what you said about if he had attempted to qualify for this year's Indy 500, he would have been fighting for the last row shootout and might have been in danger of missing the race.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to the last time we saw a driver do the double.
Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, 2014?
Yep.
Kurt Busch not only was that year's Indy 500 Rookie of the Year, correct me if I'm wrong, he finished 6th?
Correct.
And qualified somewhere around the top 10? If I remember correctly?
I think he was on row 3, maybe row 4.
Okay, so he was right around 10th. We'll put it that way.
Ballpark.
Somewhere between 7th and 12th. And how much time had Kurt Busch spent in an Indycar before he jumped in it for that year? 0. What is going on with driver 48? That's the question. And we don't have an answer.
Don't know.
He's lagging way behind his Rookie of the Year compatriots badly. And he needs to figure out a way to turn up the wick. Because here's the thing. Him moving over to IndyCar after being a 7-time Cup Series champion, yes, it created a lot of buzz and it got him sponsors almost immediately. But here's the thing. Sponsors will only stick with you as long as you're succeeding. Short fuse. Am I saying Carvana or whoever it is leaves at the end of this year? No. I think he has a built-in safety of this year. But if he don't step it up, and this continues into 2022, maybe.
Have helmet, will travel. That's all I'm saying.
Figure out a way to turn up the wick, Jimmy. Figure it out. Got to take a break. We'll be right back here on CRN.
For more on the Championship Racing Network.
When severe weather's at its worst.
It helps when your mouse is on the play button.
It does. You are correct.
Q1's over.
First, because it's
Okay.
live.
I had it there and I must have shaken my hand and it moved.
Happens.
It's one of those days for John.
First, to warn you when danger
Yay.
approaches. Right now, look at severe weather. Giving you more time to get to safety. WVTM 13 live.
Coming back with what, more IndyCar?
WVTM 13.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the
One more story.
podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's. Today's topic, Mother's Day. Ooh, is that a Kohl's bag? Yeah, my mom's the workout queen, so I got her Champion and Adidas gear for 25% off, and I got a Kohl's cash. Okay, that's impressive. But the deals are her workouts. Oh, girl, sometimes shopping is my workout. Yes, you sound like my mother-in-law. I got her cute patio pillows also on sale, and with free store
I just
pickup,
want
got
to go
it all
home
in
and
less
go
than an
back to
hour.
bed.
You win Mother's Day. Offers valid
But I got
until
so much crap to do.
See store or Kohl's.com for details.
If you're a business owner who's hiring, you probably face a lot of challenges when it comes to finding the right person for your role. Like not having enough applicants with the right skills or experience apply to your job. That's why hiring can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/breakfast. When you post a job on ZipRecruiter, it gets sent out to over 100 top job sites with one click. Then ZipRecruiter ZipRecruiter's matching technology finds people with the right skills and experience for your job and actively invites them to apply. So
Two
while other
bathroom
companies
remodels
overwhelm you
done
with way
in
too
less
many
than 2
options,
weeks.
ZipRecruiter
Almost
finds what you're
3
looking
days.
for, the needle in the haystack.
Do what you got to do, bro.
Right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at this website, ZipRecruiter.com/breakfast.
Painting's a bitch.
Once again, remember to go to this unique place, ZipRecruiter.com/BREAKFAST.
I think 5 seconds.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action.
More action, unfortunately, from the sad side of the news of the IndyCar world. We have the passing of a second-generation Leader Card Racing's team owner, Ralph Wilkie. Passed away earlier this week. Leader Card Racing was founded and funded by the family's Wisconsin-based paper goods company. Bob Wilkie saw quick success. How quick? They won their Indy 500 debut, 1959. Not bad. Backed it up with a second Indy 500 win in 1962 and a third in 1968. The one in 1968 featured a driver that you might have heard of, Al Unser. Well, Bob passed away in 1970. He turned over the race operations to Ralph. Ralph continued to enter cars into varying forms of IndyCar all the way up to 1994, but he also diversified it. Under Ralph, the team saw a lot of success as a short track operation, and over the years employed almost 200 drivers and claimed well over 200 wins and numerous track championships all around the country over the years. Ralph Wilkie died Monday. Cause was unrevealed at his Wisconsin home. He was 90 years old. 3 Indy 500 wins within 10 years of founding the operation. And then to turn around and become a massive short track racing operation.
It's crazy.
That's some nice success right there, boys.
Absolutely.
That's what Jimmy Johnson needs to do.
You think?
All right. How's things over in Formula One as they are trying to get things going as far as qualifying?
Q1 is over with. Q2 is now rolling, and I lost. They done recycled it over. Good job, F1. Here we go.
You mean you pulled a Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they pulled a Jimmy. Q1's over. Your bottom 5 out. I can give you 5 guesses on the bottom 2, and the first 4 don't count.
Yeah. The question is which order is Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin in?
Mick Schumacher is 19th, 0.6 of a second ahead of Nikita Mazepin.
And here's the thing. I was watching, I happened to come across FP1, practice session number 1, Friday morning. And with about 10 minutes to go, Mick Schumacher was flirting with about 15th on the speed charts.
He's 19th.
I want to say he was about a second at that point ahead of where Nikita Mazepin was.
So
the fact that he outqualified Mazepin is not a shock to me.
The bottom 5 out in Q1, Raikkonen in 16 to 20. Raikkonen, Ocon, Latifi, Schumacher, Mazepin.
Ocon.
The
Interesting.
worst Williams is 0.8 of a second quicker than Mazepin. George Russell is in 12th. Actually 1 second faster.
If I'm in the Haas organization, this has got to be, in some ways, almost ridiculously demoralizing, doesn't it?
Here's my question: Is Haas just going in the tank, or is the other teams getting better?
No, they have said legitimately that they missed so badly on the car last year, and they kept the rules from 2019 to 2020 that they've given up on this year, and all of their development efforts are set on the 2022 car.
They better come out with gangbusters next year.
Oh my God!
So basically, what they done is Gene Haas threw away $250 million this year. Just for nothing.
Yeah.
And Gunther Steiner convinced Gene Haas to punt $250 million.
I just like to see 1/10 of that.
Gene, let me say this.
Lap.
Gene, let me say this. Let's punt to 2021. Let's just get ready for the 2022 season. Watch Netflix Drive to Survive. You'll know his enunciation.
I can't wait for next year's Drive to Survive. I'm looking so forward to the Haas F1.
If I had Netflix, I might look it up.
I might just skip ahead and find out where the Haas F1 episode is and go to it first.
Now, if
Yeah,
Mr.
myself.
Haas would like to drop even 1/100th of the money he wasted this year into my lap, I might get Netflix.
We take 1/1000.
Yeah, I'd consider 1/1000.
Yeah.
I'd be happy.
But yeah, how frustrating has it got to be? I mean, even knowing the fact that you believe that you're going to come out in 2022 with all guns firing and all cylinders firing off as well.
You better hope those cylinders are firing in the right order.
Well, partially that's on Ferrari, because that's the engine side.
Mm-hmm.
But you better have the car, because you're working on this for the entirety of the 2021 year.
Yep.
You better have that car right. You better have that car right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's a lot of pressure on Haas F1.
Uh-huh.
But in the meantime, everyone's going, can we just get 2021 over?
Yeah.
From the drivers all the way through the team.
Now here's a off-the-wall question.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone think it could have anything to do with last year's epidemic? I'm not even going to dignify it with a name.
This is
but last year's epidemic.
This is a simple answer.
Partially.
I'm going to say a simple answer. No.
Okay, we have a no and we have a partial. What's
Well,
the partial?
I'm going to say partially because when you looked at the situation as a whole, Haas F1 comes out believing they have a good car, and everything went off the rails almost immediately.
Yeah.
And then you go into the pandemic, and money gets lost.
Yeah.
A lot of money got lost within Formula One because the race hosting fees are a fairly significant portion of the amount of money pooled. There just wasn't any money.
No.
And there was no money to go in and fix the situation. And then because Formula One said, you know what, such a weird year, let's see if we can't hold off everything, let's keep these same rules this year, which Haas F1 went, God no! Thanks for nothing, because our cars suck! They really didn't have much of a choice. Instead of spending so much money trying to, it's a family show in the morning, let me see how I can put this properly, polish a turd? Instead of trying to do that, they said, you know what, let's...
Lipstick on a pig.
Thank you, that's an even better way to put it. Let's go ahead and let's just say, let's try this again in 2022. Let's see if we can't
Cheers to that.
Let's see if we can't do Haas F1 2.0. So that's why I say it was partially because of it. I think if we hadn't had the COVID shutdown, if we had been able to keep fans in the stands, the money would have kept coming in at a much better rate. And I think they would have done incremental improvements not only last year, but this year.
Right.
But because of everything being shut down, I think that's what influenced
it threw a wrench into everybody's works.
It did. It did. Some teams decided to go ahead and work on 2021. Haas F1 said, we'll wait until 2022. Okay. We noted on last week's show, Russia is set to present St. Petersburg as their Formula One venue beginning in the 2023 season. In addition, the course that they're going to use is called Igora Drive. It's set to be expanded. Here's the thing. It's a new facility right now. It's part of a ski resort located about 30 miles north of the downtown part of St. Petersburg. The course designed, as you noted last year, or as you noted last week by noted F1 course designer Herman Tilke, officially opened when? 2019. In its current state, it's just over 4 kilometers, but plans are to go over 5 kilometers, or 3 miles long, before Formula One comes to visit in 2023. So it gives the course longer straightaways, accentuates the elevation changes that are going to be included in there, and they have plans to create a fast final loop turn to get back onto the front straight, and including some banking in some turns, probably that fast final loop turn would be included. Russian officials have also said that they do not want to abandon Sochi, so they feel like, kind of like what we used to see out of the German Grand Prix, could alternate between two different courses. Nothing has been finalized. Meantime, today, officially, we found out two things. Number one, Mercedes has extended a contract of one of their two drivers.
That driver, you ask, only just 7-time world champion, Sir Lewis Hamilton.
That seems like kind of a dud, doesn't it?
Just a little.
Not just 1, 2 years. Good move on their part. Valtteri Bottas is still on that year-to-year contract. They've said that they might start working on that during the August break. We'll see. Then there's this. And this should not be overlooked. Today in Austria, there's going to be a meeting of Formula One engine manufacturers. They're going to get together, talk about the future of the sport, the new regulations regarding the engines and the power units as a whole, because obviously they're hybrid engines and blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff slated to take effect in 2025. Now, normally, this would not be newsworthy here on this show. Here's why it is newsworthy. Despite not supplying engines to any team in Formula One, representatives from both Porsche and Audi will be in attendance.
There's two names we haven't heard.
Seems Porsche's Vice President of Motorsport, Fritz Enzinger, also happens to be the coordinator of all motorsport activities within the Volkswagen Group. And Volkswagen owns Porsche and Audi. He said that the things that the Commission and Formula One are trying to implement for the engine rules, coming up again, 2025, are attractive to both Porsche and Audi.
Interesting.
Now, Honda will not be present. Honda is withdrawing from the series for a second time. But Red Bull, who's taking over the Honda engine program, will have representatives there. Renault's going to be there. Ferrari's going to be there. Mercedes is going to be on hand. Again, we're still a pretty good ways from 2025. Nothing major is expected to happen. I don't expect massive news to come out of this particular meeting because, again, it's only 2021. But it is interesting to note because Porsche's been a Formula One engine provider in the past. They've actually been a works team in the past. This would be breaking new ground for Audi. And remember, Audi is getting out of Formula E.
It's a pretty sizable step to leave Formula E and go to Formula One. It'd be interesting for sure.
Again, you look at new regulations. New regulations coming in NASCAR Gen 7. New regulations coming in Indycar within the next, 2-3 years?
Yes.
With a slightly larger engine, and they keep talking about bringing in a third engine manufacturer. And Formula One doing the same thing. And here's the thing. Across all of them, the idea is to try and cut down on costs of building these cars and putting them out there and fielding them. And how much did we just say it cost Gene Haas there to punt on this year?
$250 million.
For not just one.
250 million.
For not just one, but two different marks under the Volkswagen banner to suddenly find themselves interested in going Formula One racing, even if they're just going to be engine providers. That's pretty significant. And if one or both, one's probable, both, I'm not so certain about. I could see Porsche coming in as a works team for 2025. And there is enough lead time between now and then to where I think that's feasible if they wanted to do it. And then you get Audi coming in, and they've got a nice little engine package that somebody might want. And you team them with Red Bull suddenly has a decision. Do we keep going with our own engine program? And then you've got the teams that are Mercedes or Renault or Ferrari customers going, hey, now we've got options.
Okay. Me being F1 stupid, what is a works team?
It's the company owning and operating their own team.
Mercedes,
Read
Ferrari.
Mercedes.
Ferrari. If this happens in 2025, Ferrari, we appreciate your time, but we as a Haas F1 team, we're moving to Porsche. We're moving to Audi.
Ooh, I kind of like that. That's actually not.
Wow.
If you want to give yourself a fighting chance from here on out and start getting up there to compete with the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes, you've got to take a leap of faith. Because Ferrari's not getting it done right now.
Well, and here's the thing. Even if Ferrari starts to get it done back at the level that they were, you're never going to get the A-Spec engine. The A-Spec engine is for Ferrari. Period. The B-Spec engine goes to Alfa Romeo and to Haas. That's it. Audi comes in as an engine supplier only, and it's kind of like when Toyota came into NASCAR. Joe Gibbs said, hey, we're a little fish in a big pond with Chevrolet, and we're never going to be as big as Hendrick Motorsports, and we're fighting for second place with Richard Childress. So I can either be over here and get some of the scraps that are left over. I can go to Toyota, and I'm suddenly the biggest fish in a nice little pond.
Just like what I'm talking about, and with talking about engine manufacturers, with Q2 ending 1 to 10, this is how I'm going to actually 1 to 11. Oh, to heck with it. We're going to we'll go 1 to 15.
All right.
Before we go to break right here. This is 1 to 15. Honda, Mercedes, Honda, Mercedes, Mercedes, Honda, Mercedes, Ferrari, 9th. Ferrari, Mercedes, 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 Mercedes,
Think about where
Renault.
you're at.
Mercedes.
So you can either get a B-Spec engine from Ferrari, or Audi comes in and you become their major first customer. You know you're going to get the A-Spec.
Correct.
Might have some growing pains, but at the same point in time, once that growth comes across, you might just have what you need as far as your foundation is concerned. And your foundation is everything. Not just in racing, but in your house too. So make sure you're right. Give our friend Michael Hart a call, 205-362-6419. Even if you don't think you have a problem with your foundation. This is a no-cost, written assessment of your foundation. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no obligation to you in this. And you can get peace of mind. Because he will go in your house and look around your house, and he'll make sure that everything with your house is fine. And if it is, he writes it up on a piece of paper, hands it to you, boom, everything's good. But if you got problems, if you're seeing what you think might be problems, like windows or doors sticking or uneven floors, maybe water or damp floors in your basement or your crawl space or more, could be a problem with your foundation. Get it fixed, because if you leave it alone, it ain't going to fix itself. And if you just wait and wait and wait over the years, it's going to cost you more and more and more, because it's going to get worse and worse and worse. 205-362-6419. Again, that's 205-362-6419. Or send him an email. Mike@oxfoundations.com. Set up a time where he can come out and he can take a look at your home. Double check it. And again, no cost to you, no obligation to you. Writes up your foundation assessment and sets you up. If there's nothing wrong, it's all good. Shake hands, be friends, go on your merry way. If there is a problem, remember this. Use the promo code WEST. You get 15% off your repair. Don't forget the number 205-362-6419, or call him at mike@oxfoundations.com. Keep in mind that promo code WEST. And if you are anywhere, and I mean anywhere, in the state of Alabama, that works for you, because Ox Foundations goes anywhere in this state. We'll be right back. Make sure that you tell them when you do contact Mike that you heard about it right here on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Have you been thinking about buying a camper? Well, you need to come to Campers
If yours the
Unlimited,
whole
Highway
phone line
77
will
and
for.
I-59 in Gadsden.
I was trying to show you the copy.
You'll find there's no hidden fees.
'Cause I'm reading it off my
Selection
phone.
of the best-selling brands, including
Oh.
Grand Design, Rockwood, Prime Time, Colombo, East to West, Cherokee, and Wolfpack, and more. And they have many years of experience in the Central
This is
Alabama
my
area
symbol for
in the
ox.
RV business. They have a beautiful big new
If
showroom.
you're gonna go
with
to ox
14
or
service
not.
bays. Payments as low as $132 a month on a new camper with 10% down. Over 100 travel trailers and fifth wheels to choose from.
It is so
No
morbid
pressure,
here.
no hassle, no rigmarole.
Sit on
And
20,
they've got a campground,
27 or
the Cove RV
28.
Resort, with a 20-acre spring-fed
I
lake,
mean,
flooded with
78,
fish, swimming
72,
pool,
whatever.
bikini pool, clubhouse, Wi-Fi, and cable. Check it all out at Campers Unlimited on
Coffee!
I-77 and I-59 in Gadsden.
John needs coffee.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly.
whatever.
Instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at
All right,
capitalone.com/.
we're either going now or not.
Welcome to AutoZone. So, trying to
Oh,
We're gonna get in the zone at AutoZone first.
should do the trick. Between different parts of your engine and remove
I'm
contaminants.
not sure I've ever been in the zone.
Better performance and gas.
I'm working on it.
I prefer the zone as
And you can get what you need
over
your way with
the
our
auto
same-day
any day.
pickup, in-store, or curbside. Getting the job done just got easy. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
okay. 5 seconds.
2 times
Yep.
over and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
One more note in the Formula One world. The producer of the noted documentary Senna, which was done almost a decade ago, hard to believe now, is set and have been given clearance to film and produce an 8-part. Do we really need 8 parts? 8-part documentary series about the life of Bernie Ecclestone.
Not this one. I'll take 8 parts on something else, but not this one.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about digging deep into the life of 90-year-old Bernie Ecclestone. Started his racing career as a driver before becoming a team owner and then working his way up to being the head of Formula One for over 4 decades. Mandish Pandy's going to write and direct the docuseries. He has the trust of Ecclestone. Ecclestone said of Mandish, quote, "It's the first time I've trusted anyone to tell my story and the story of Formula One. Mandish is the only storyteller and director who I believe can bring these to the screen." Liberty Media, current commercial rights holders for the series, have said that they will fully cooperate with the production in any way that they need to. I look forward to seeing it, but again, 8 parts? I like learning about people. But, wow.
Yeah. No. We got a little bit of breaking news out of Austria.
Yeah.
There is a Williams in Q3.
Is there really? George Russell qualified, let me think, 9th.
10th.
10th. Oh, well, okay.
He got into the top 10 over a Ferrari house car
Jeez.
by 6 1,000ths of a second.
Wasn't Leclerc.
Sainz.
Okay.
Leclerc was right behind Sainz.
Gotcha. Wow.
Fernando Alonso goes from P3 in Q1 to P14 in Q2.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a fall off there, Fernando.
Just a hair.
All right. One more bit of news here, and this deals with scheduling for Formula E. And then we'll get into some CRN story time. The official schedule for next year in Formula E won't be revealed until this coming week, and we'll detail it next week on the show. But a provisional schedule seems to show a return of a Chinese E-Prix, potentially the first motorsport activity since the pandemic began. Where? In China. I know, politically incorrect. I don't care.
Is that why they call it the Chinese E-Prix?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
One race that is known to be on the schedule, according to the provisional schedule, the inaugural Seoul, South Korea race is slated for August 14th, 2022. That's really about all we know. Things that we do know are races without specified dates. Another race on the provisional calendar, the first ever Jakarta E-Prix in Indonesia, was a race that was announced initially for the 2019-2020 season, but yeah, the pandemic shut that down. Motorsport.com reports that there are at least 2 other new races that are all but confirmed. Vancouver, Canada, likely in July. Eindhoven in the Netherlands, but they didn't give an idea of when that might slot into the schedule. Apparently, Cape Town, South Africa is under serious consideration and on the provisional calendar is slotted for February. That would be right after the season opening weekend in Saudi Arabia. But would that be in December or January? We don't know. Other possibilities, according to the provisional calendar, returning to Monaco with the intent once again to run the full circuit, the same circuit that Formula One does. And they also got to talking about the future. This is not for the next year, 2021, 2022. But they look into the future. They want to go to Tokyo or maybe Yokohama, Japan. But apparently there are numerous layers of red tape that they would have to cut through to be able to get any kind of a race going that Formula E would like to do. Because Formula E runs on streets, by and large.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely do they run on road courses. They've got road course races in Japan, but Formula E runs on city streets. And that apparently takes copious amounts of paperwork.
Just a little.
They also want to return to Brazil, although which city is not certain at this time. Neither of those 2 countries are expected to be added before the 2022-2023 calendar. There you have it.
Well, I mean, they could come run the Grand Prix of Bass Pro Shops over in Barber. I mean,
sure.
You know, I know you can modify the course at Barber for sure.
You could, absolutely, to pretty much whatever you wanted it to be.
Yep, you really could.
I want to get back to that Superstar Racing experience for a moment, because there really wasn't a whole lot of news from them this week.
Right.
But their coverage on CBS, we talked about that at the beginning of the show.
Oh, it's gold.
What I'm seeing out of that is just amazing. They have actually worked with everybody well enough to the point where, I mean, we've seen Fox and we've seen NBC, whether it's Indycar or NASCAR, and you've seen the guys up in the booth and they've contacted the driver under caution flag laps.
I know where you're going with this.
Dude, they talked to Tony Stewart while he was racing under green.
Which was impressive.
And Tony was just like he was out for a Sunday drive in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He was happy-go-lucky and just having a good time talking with him.
Yep.
But that's groundbreaking. That's so cool.
Oh, it really is. No doubt.
And I got to give a lot of credit to Fox. Fox did, regardless of what you may think of them, overall. Fox, when they started getting into sports broadcasting, whether it's football, baseball, or racing, they changed so much. They put a score up in the corner of the screen and kept it up there throughout the whole event. We used to never see that.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of NASCAR, they kept running the lineup across the top or the bottom of the screen.
Sure.
Constantly. CBS has said, you know what? Hold my beer. You think you stepped it up? Watch this. I love it. And if NBC, and this goes back 2-3 months, maybe even longer, in the rumor that NBC was willing and thinking about giving up the rights to the IndyCar broadcast. And I said I would love to see ABC, ESPN get it back because ABC traditionally was the home of the Indy 500.
Mm-hmm.
But then you said you were hearing rumors about CBS coming in and being a heavy bidder.
Mm-hmm.
If they did the Indy 500 anywhere close to how they're doing SRX, I am all in with both feet.
I'm not all in with both feet. I'm all in cannonball style.
Absolutely. Off the high dive.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be... to have CBS back. I mean, they're best known, obviously, for doing the first flag-to-flag coverage of the Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm.
And they pioneered, in a lot of ways, motorsport television.
Yes.
I've seen it stepped up, and I like where CBS is going. So, yeah, CBS, come on back in. Welcome you with open arms.
And of all people, at a dirt track,
Mm-hmm.
Hinch was gold.
He really was.
In that booth.
He really was.
Hinch was phenomenal.
And I'm not trying to tell Hinch that he needs to get out of a car. I mean, he's been inconsistent. He may find himself out of a car anyway at the end of the year. We talked about that when it came to Andretti Autosport during our IndyCar conversation. But Hinch might find himself a pretty nice little gig in the broadcasting world.
He and Alan Bestwick meshed really well.
They really did.
Meshed really well.
With respect, a lot better than Bestwick does with Danica Patrick.
Yeah. And then in the case of talking to Stewart under green, hey, I'm about to take little brother to school. Please hold. Click. All right, I'm back. Got it. What's up?
That's it. That was good stuff.
It was. It
really
was
good
really,
stuff.
really, really good.
If you have not checked it out, again, each and every Saturday night, 8 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time, for 2 hours, maybe a little over. It's good action on the track, number one. It's a good series. And number two, the coverage is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you check it out.
You know what I got out of all that?
Yes.
The best way to mesh with Danica is in a NASCAR. You'll definitely mesh with her driving in a NASCAR.
They
might have some jagged edges. But.
Something that I just seen them do. They announced the crew chief pairings on social media.
Yeah.
Tonight, Jeff Hammond has Tony Kanaan, Bill Elliott, Elio Castroneves.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Uri Jr. is coming in place of Mike Beam tonight.
Hello.
He's got Ernie Francis Jr., Bobby Labonte, and Willie T. Ribbs. Todd Parrott has Scott Speed, Paul Tracy, Marco Andretti. The all-star crew chief for tonight, Tim Clausen, which is the late Brian Clausen's dad.
Yep.
He's got Michael Waltrip, Tony Stewart, and the ringer, Bobby Santos.
Racing at Lucas Oil Raceway Park in Indianapolis. It's going to be an interesting night.
Yep.
All right. You've got a little bit of story time because you're taking another trip tomorrow.
Leaving bright and early in the morning. Gonna take a little road trip, actually air trip. Gonna head up north to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Complex for the Indy 200. The Honda Indy 200, excuse me.
Make sure you get it right.
Yep.
Nice. How did this come about?
Well, let's just say a few phone calls were made. I'll leave that under wraps. The door opened up to join some people up there, and I wasn't going to pass it up. I'll leave it under wraps for now. Let's see what evolves out of it, but let's just say there could be some potential sponsorship development in IndyCar. Potential.
We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
And I love it when I'm on the inside of something and I just you know.
I hate that feeling. You know something, but you can't share it with anyone.
You want so
and
bad
it eats me alive.
You want so bad to be able to talk about it.
Let's just say the very first time that I had to go to Texas on a work trip, and the vice president and the CEO and the head of the motorsports marketing for the said company, which that's a giveaway, opens up and tells me about their experiences in NASCAR and tells me straight up what they dealt with. Yeah, that ought to tell you something.
Yeah, it should.
That should tell you something. And you're sitting there at the table and they're just casually telling you this, and I'm going, huh? And when you're sitting there and you're wearing and I played this card to a T, and this is for you, Russell Branham, wore the track polo that Sarah Hollingsworth left for me in the booth at the time, and wrote on the piece of tape which shirt was mine, the rookie. Which I said, Sarah, I'm gonna kill you. She started laughing. Because I can remember that Friday morning he pulled out of that box and he busted out laughing. I'm going, what? And he just pointed at the shirt and just shaking his head. I said, that's all Sarah.
Yeah.
But I had that shirt on. You work at Talladega? Yep. You just don't randomly get these polos from anybody.
We need to talk.
Yeah, hey, let's chat. Have a seat. I'm an open book.
So he's off to go check out an IndyCar race tomorrow, Mid-Ohio.
Check off another one off the list.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail next week right here on the show, as well as If we have another week like this week, good grief.
Yeah.
I get the feeling some things will probably start to happen now. Dominoes are starting to fall. Silly season, things like that.
Probably.
And again, Formula E will talk about their schedule for next year as well. So yeah, we got plenty on tap. Hope you join us next week right here on the Championship Racing Network. In the meantime, once again, have a safe and happy 4th of July weekend. Know a lot of you like to get fireworks, especially I don't know where in the country you might be listening to us or watching us on YouTube. Maybe they're legal in your state, maybe they're not. Either way, if you are going to deal with them, be very safe, be very careful. Just enjoy them, but be safe with them. And have a hot dog or two for me.
I think I'll just have a bag of pretzels on the airplane tomorrow.
It's because that's all they give you.
Yeah, now that's all they give you for sure.
And John, you wanted to say hello.
Quick shout out to all my grandkids that are tuning in this morning. William, Taylor, Allie, love you guys. See you soon.
Thank you for checking us out. We'll give you your grandfather back here in just a little bit. Y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next weekend right here on the Championship Racing Network.
Clear!
Then a presentation of the Champion Racing Network.
Let's let it cycle through. Qualifying's over.
We're snapping on the pole.
24/7 at
Yes, the train wreck is back.
Alabama's #1 country. Under 92.7.
You have your good times on the way holiday weekend, so start drowning out your sorrows. It's whiskey and rain.
Hey, we made the top. We made Q3. Let's just not take a lap.
Williams just sat.
Just sat.